An anchor does not stop the water from moving, it stops the boat from moving with it. That distinction is the entire point of this prayer, because most people approach the Tuesday with the unconscious hope that the water will calm, that the demands will become manageable, that the difficult thing will resolve, that the uncertain thing will become certain, that the conditions will improve to the point where steadiness is no longer an effort, but a natural result of the environment being less turbulent. The water does not calm on command, not on Tuesday, not any day, but the anchor holds regardless of the water. The anchored boat is not affected differently because the conditions changed. It is stable because of what it is connected to, not because of what surrounds it. And the person whose mind is anchored in God does not need the Tuesday to cooperate with their steadiness in order to be steady. The steadiness is not produced by the Tuesday, it is maintained by the anchor through the Tuesday. This is Tuesday, April 21st. And before this day has added to the movement of the water, before the inbox and the schedule and the people and the unexpected things have begun their pull, you came here to set the anchor before the movement starts, before the pull begins, before the current has had a chance to test whether the anchor is holding. Setting the anchor before the storm is the only time it can be set with full deliberateness. In the middle of the storm, the setting is harder. The movement is already happening. The pull is already established. But here, in the quiet of a Tuesday morning before the day has arrived, the anchor can be set with the full attention and the full intention of a person who knows why they are here and what they are asking for. His word declares in the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 19, that we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Firm, secure. The anchor does not give when the storm pushes. It does not loosen under sustained pressure. It holds. Not because the storm is not real, because the anchor is more real than what the storm can produce, firm and secure, in water that moves, among conditions that change, through a Tuesday that will ask things the Sunday could not predict. Before we enter this prayer, write in the comments right now, Lord, anchor my mind in you today. Let nothing this Tuesday brings move what you have made steady. Write it as the setting. The deliberate, intentional prior act of placing the anchor before the water begins to pull, like this video, as an act of choosing the anchor over the drift. Subscribe to this channel so we can begin every morning together, especially the Tuesdays when Monday's momentum has already worn off and the week is revealing what it actually contains rather than what the fresh start promised. And share this prayer with someone whose Tuesday is beginning with the water already moving. What you send might be the anchor they did not know they needed before the pull got stronger. Now let us set the anchor together. Lord, my God and my Father, I come before you on this Tuesday morning and I do the single most important thing available to me before this day begins. I connect, not to the inbox or the calendar or the obligations or the people or the news or the concerns that have been forming since yesterday. I connect to you before any of that. First, here, in this prayer, the anchor set before the movement begins. I bring the specific conditions of this Tuesday to you, honestly. Not the ideal version, the actual one. The energy that is available after Monday spent some of what the weekend restored. The clarity that is present after yesterday's demands have been processed through whatever the night produced. The specific worries that are running this morning, the specific tensions that carried forward from yesterday, the specific anticipations of what today will require that have already begun to shape the interior before the day has officially started. All of it. Before you, the anchor set into all of it. Your word declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 16, verse 8, that the psalmist says, I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand I will not be shaken. Always, not when the conditions are favorable, not when the water is calm, always. The eyes kept on God as a continuous practice, not a situational response. And from that continuous keeping, the result, I will not be shaken. Not because nothing will try to shake, because the anchor holds when the shaking comes. Let my eyes be kept today, Lord, on you, before the Tuesday has made its claim on where my eyes should be directed. Father, I want to name what happens to the mind on a Tuesday that does not happen on a Monday. The illusions have worn off. Monday arrives with a kind of possibility that is partly genuine and partly the product of the fresh start feeling. The week is new. The intention is real. The plan is intact. And the combination of those things produces an interior that, while not deluded, is somewhat insulated from the week's actual character by the cushion of the beginning. Tuesday has no such cushion. By Tuesday, the week has shown its hand. The Monday difficulty has arrived. The Monday conversation has produced its result, whatever that result was. The Monday decision has been made. And the Tuesday person is no longer standing at the beginning of the week with a plan that has not yet been tested. They are standing in the middle of a week that is revealing itself, with the evidence that Monday produced already present in the interior. That evidence is not always encouraging. Sometimes Monday confirms the week is going to be good. Often it reveals that the week is going to be exactly as demanding as it looked like it was going to be. And occasionally it produces something that was not anticipated at all, a development that arrived without warning and that has reorganized the interior in ways that Tuesday morning is now managing. The anchored mind receives the Tuesday evidence without being destabilized by it. Not without being affected. Without being destabilized, the evidence is received, processed, held. And then the eyes return to the anchor, not because the evidence is dismissed, because the anchor is more reliable than the evidence as a determinant of the interior's quality. Your word declares in the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 3, that you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Steadfast. The word implies maintained fixity, not occasional alignment with God. The continuous returning of the mind to the anchor when the week's evidence tries to move it. And from the steadfast mind, the perfect peace follows, not as a reward for the steadfastness, as the natural result of a mind that is continuously connected to the one who is peace. Lord, anchor my mind in you today. Let nothing this Tuesday brings move what you have made steady. And Father, I want to ask for something that the anchored mind specifically does with the Tuesday evidence that the unanchored one cannot. It holds the evidence without being held by it. The unanchored mind that receives difficult Monday evidence is held by it. The difficult thing becomes the ambient atmosphere. The conversation that did not go well becomes the lens through which everything on Tuesday is interpreted. The plan that did not survive contact with Monday becomes the defining story about the week. The anchored mind holds the same evidence differently. It receives it, acknowledges it, even sits with what is honest and uncomfortable about it, but it is not held by it. The difficult Monday thing is one piece of information inside a larger frame. The frame includes the faithfulness that was present alongside the difficulty. The grace that was operating even in the moments the difficulty was most visible. The God who was in Monday and who is already in Tuesday and who has not for a single moment been derailed by what Monday produced. Your word declares in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 38 through 39, that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Neither the present nor the future. Not Monday's difficult evidence, not Tuesday's anticipated difficulty. Nothing in all creation separates. The anchor holds, even when the evidence says the water is particularly strong today. Receive that today, Lord, into the Tuesday that has arrived with Monday's evidence already present. The evidence is real. The anchor is more real. Because the person whose mind is anchored carries something into every room they enter that the unanchored person cannot. Stability. Not the rigid stability of someone who is defended against what the room contains. The settled stability of someone whose interior does not take its cue from the room's temperature. They bring their own temperature, and the temperature they bring, warm and present and unhurried by the urgency the room is running, changes the room. The anchored person in the difficult meeting does not match the tension. The anchored person in the anxious conversation does not escalate alongside the anxiety. The anchored person in the room full of competing demands does not immediately become the most reactive person in the room. They bring the stillness of a mind that has been to God this morning and has an anchor that the room cannot reach. Let me be that person in every room today, Lord, not performing stability, carrying it, because the anchor was set before the room made its claim. Lord, I want to pray now about the specific ways that Tuesday will try to move what the anchor is holding. The first is urgency. Tuesday is full of things that announce themselves as urgent. The message that needs a response before it can wait. The situation that is developing and requires attention now. The demand that arrived in a tone that communicates that the delay of even a few minutes would be significant. Urgency is not dishonest. Some things are genuinely urgent. But urgency, unexamined, tends to displace everything else regardless of whether the urgency is proportional to the situation's actual importance. And the mind that responds to urgency as its primary organizing principle spends the day on what announced itself loudest rather than what mattered most. The anchored mind examines urgency before responding to it. It asks the question. The unanchored mind skips. Is this actually urgent, or does it feel urgent because it is loud? And the answer to that question, asked from the stable position of a mind that is not running on anxiety, produces a different quality of response than the one that was generated by the urgency's pressure. The second is comparison. Tuesday is the day when the comparison begins in earnest. The work that was done on Monday is visible enough to compare against others' work. The progress made is visible enough to measure against the progress expected. The distance between where the week is and where it was supposed to be by now is visible in a way it was not on Monday. And the comparison-driven mind on Tuesday is already discouraging itself with a metric that has no bearing on the actual faithfulness of the work being done. Your word declares in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 4, that each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else. Alone, without comparison. The standard is not another person's pace or another week's productivity or another life's visible trajectory. The standard is the specific calling, the specific capacity, the specific work that was given to this person for this week. And the anchored mind can hold that standard because it is not being moved by the comparison the Tuesday is offering. The third is self-doubt. The Tuesday version of self-doubt is the specific kind that arrives after the first day's evidence has been processed. The Monday confidence that did not fully survive contact with Monday's actual demands. The intention that met reality and came out slightly less intact than it went in. And the Tuesday mind that is processing that collision is vulnerable to the conclusion that the person was not what they thought they were on Sunday night. Lord, anchor my mind in you today. Let nothing this Tuesday brings move what you have made steady. The anchor holds against self-doubt too, not by dismissing the honest assessment of where Monday fell short, by holding the honest assessment within the wider truth about the person. The truth that is not determined by Monday's performance. The truth that was established before Monday had its say. The person who is loved. the person who is held, the person whose worth is not a function of last Monday's output. That truth, held by the anchor, gives the honest assessment its proper proportion rather than its catastrophized one. And Father, I want to ask for something specific about how the anchored mind receives criticism today, because sometimes Tuesday brings feedback that the person was not prepared to hear, a response to Monday's work that was not what was hoped for, a correction that arrives before the work has found its footing. The unanchored mind receives criticism as confirmation of what the self-doubt was already saying. The criticism lands on a mind that was looking for that evidence and finds in it the proof the anxiety required. The anchored mind receives criticism differently, not without feeling it. Differently, the foundation holds while the criticism is processed. The honest part can be received as information. The adjustments genuinely warranted can be made. And the part that was not accurate can be released without requiring a defense. Your word declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verse 9, to instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will add to their learning. The anchored person receives instruction as addition, because the anchor holds the foundation secure while the learning is received on top of it. Father, I want to ask for something practical about how the anchor is returned to when it has been tested, because the anchor will be tested. That is not pessimism. That is the about how the anchor is returned to when it has been tested. Because the anchor will be tested. That is not pessimism. That is the description of a Tuesday in a real life. The water will move. The pull will be felt. The moment will come when the urgency has distracted, the comparison has discouraged, the self-doubt has unsettled, and the interior is no longer in the position it was in when the prayer ended this morning. That moment is not a failure. It is the invitation to return. The return does not require a full re-entry into the morning prayer. It requires a single deliberate act, one breath, one turning. Lord, the anchor, that is enough. The mind that has been to God in the morning and set the anchor genuinely can return to the anchor with 3 words and find it exactly where it was left. Because the anchor does not move, the boat moved. The anchor was where the anchor is, and 3 words spoken with intention from a mind that knows where the anchor is enough to bring the boat back to it. Your word declares in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 22 through 23, that because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. New every morning. The compassion that is available for the return at 2 in the afternoon is as fresh as the compassion that was available at 7 in the morning. It was not depleted by the morning's use. It is new, available, waiting for the boat that drifted to return to the anchor that never moved. Every return today is a return to something that has been waiting for the return. The faithfulness is great. The compassions are new. The anchor holds. And Father, I want to name something about what the repeated returning builds over time that a single anchoring cannot. The person who returns to God when the anchor has been tested develops, through the returning, a different relationship to testing. The first time the return is made under pressure, it is effortful. The mind has moved significantly from the anchor, and finding the way back requires deliberate effort. But the mind that returns repeatedly to the same anchor in the same waters develops a familiarity with the return. The distance traveled before the return is noticed gets shorter. The time between drifting and returning compresses. Not because the water becomes less turbulent, because the person becomes more familiar with the way back. Your word declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 46, verse 1, that God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Ever-present, not requiring a search, not requiring a lengthy reapproach, present. The anchor does not need to be located. It is always at the same coordinates, and the mind that has been returning to the same anchor long enough knows, without effort, where the anchor is when the pull begins. That familiarity is being built today. In this prayer, in each return this Tuesday requires, the mind that returns to the anchor on a Tuesday afternoon in a pressured moment is building something that will make the Wednesday afternoon return more natural. And the Wednesday return builds toward Thursday, each time contributing to the formation of a person whose first move under pressure is not the anxiety loop, but the anchor. Lord, anchor my mind in you today. Let nothing this Tuesday brings move what you have made steady. Father, as this prayer closes, I want to receive something about what the steadied mind produces at the end of a Tuesday that was navigated from the anchor. Not triumph, faithfulness. The anchored person does not end a Tuesday having controlled every outcome. The water still moved, the urgent things still arrived, the comparisons were still offered, the self-doubt found its moments. What is different is not the absence of what tried to move the boat. It is that the boat is still where it was anchored rather than where the current took the boats that had no anchor. The person whose Tuesday ends with the interior still connected to God is not the person who had the easier Tuesday. They are the person who had the same Tuesday as everyone else and remained anchored through it. And remaining anchored through the water that moved is the specific form of faithfulness that the Tuesday was asking for. Your word declares in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 58 that you should be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Steadfast, immovable. Those are anchor words, not the description of a person who was never pulled, the description of a person who was pulled and held, who was moved toward but not moved from, who faced the current and found the anchor sufficient. That is what this Tuesday is for. Not the impressive performance, the immovable faithfulness, the steadfast abounding, the ordinary day lived from the anchor that the ordinary day cannot remove. And I want to name one more thing about what the Tuesday of immovable faithfulness produces that the person living it cannot see while they are in it. It produces a testimony, not a spoken one, the lived kind. The testimony of a person who was in the same difficult waters as everyone else and remained anchored when the others were moved, who received the same urgency and comparison and self-doubt and held their position, who arrived at Wednesday as evidence that the anchor is real. That testimony is not only for the person's own benefit. The people who share the Tuesday with the anchored person are witnesses to something. They are watching, even if they could not name it, a person who is connected to something that the water cannot reach. And what they see in that person creates a question in them that a direct proclamation rarely does. The question of what the anchored person is standing on. What makes their response different? What holds them when the same pressures that move everyone else are failing to move them? Your word declares in the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15 to always be prepared, to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. Be prepared for the question. The question comes when the testimony is visible, and the testimony is visible when the anchor holds in the water that moves everyone else. Be the visible testimony today, Lord, not as a strategy, as the genuine overflow of an interior that was anchored before the day tested the anchoring. Lord, anchor my mind in you today. Let nothing this Tuesday brings move what you have made steady. That is the declaration this Tuesday begins from. The anchor is set, the connection is established, the water will move, the anchor holds. And the person who set the anchor before the movement began is standing at the end of this Tuesday still where they were when the day started. Not because the day was gentle, because the anchor was real. To everyone who prayed with me this morning, go back to the comments and write it one final time. Lord, anchor my mind in you today. Let nothing this Tuesday brings move what you have made steady. Return to that at every moment the pull is felt. One breath, the anchor, and find it exactly where it was left. Subscribe to this channel and come back tomorrow morning. We are here every day, setting the anchor before the water moves. Share this prayer with someone whose Tuesday you know is beginning with the current already running. Not because you can calm the water for them, because you know where the anchor is. May the Lord anchor your mind today in the hope that is firm and secure, regardless of what the Tuesday brings. May every attempt of urgency, comparison, and self-doubt to move what you have set in this prayer find the anchor holding. May the returns throughout this day be as natural as breathing. And may you arrive at Wednesday with the quiet evidence of someone who was anchored, not because nothing pulled, because the anchor held through everything that did. In Jesus' name, amen.